all please stand for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Today is Tuesday, October 4th. The time being 6:30 p.m. The City Council special meeting is called to order. At this time, please silence all electronic devices. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, the City requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that's available on the table in the back of the room. Amy, would you please call the roll?
Kevin Fleetwood.
Here.
Rick Ensweller.
Here.
Vieta McKenzie. Here. Daryl Poling.
Here.
Jamie Kane.
There being no old business, we'll move directly to new business. We have a couple items on the agenda. The first this evening is preliminary determination public hearing. This will be led by Rich Starkey, who is from Barnes & Thornburg, and we also have Gary Smith from Reedy Financial with us. Good evening, gentlemen. Rich, the floor is yours.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. So it would probably be appropriate to open it up for the public hearing. But the reason for this is that under the statute, we need to have two public hearings on the bond issue that's going to be for the Public Works building and for the fire station. And we're going to enter into a lease with the building corporation to do that. But these public hearings relate to what's called the petition remonstrance process. And that's when you meet a certain amount of bond issue, a certain level of bond issue, you have to hold these public hearings so the public has a chance to comment on any of the ramifications of it, since this will be done with the tax levy. And Gary Smith of Reedy Financials has all the numbers. If anybody would like to discuss any of the numbers and how that all falls out. So it would be appropriate for the council, for someone in the council to actually open up the public hearing.
Knowing that, is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion's been made by Kevin.
Second.
Second by Daryl. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here who wishes to comment on this agenda item? Hearing and seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion's been made by Kevin.
Second.
Second by Rick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed.
So we'd be happy to discuss anything that anybody in the council would like to discuss.
Council, any questions for Gary or Rich? Okay, if not, we'll move to our second agenda item, which is Ordinance 2022-26. This is the first reading for an expansion of the council because of our population increase. Chris, do you want to lightly touch on that or talk about it?
Yes, certainly. So with the most recent census that was done, statutorily, we fit into a category as a level 2 city that will requires us to have 3 at-large council members, and we do not have that currently. So we already have the 4 contiguous districts, and we don't need to rechange any of our district lines or any of that. We just need to expand to add the at-large positions. And I will say this has taken a little bit of time to figure out the best, like what's the preferred way. Because generally speaking, the statute only calls for how do you replace somebody that is leaving, not necessarily how do you fill a position for somebody that is created. So, so I've been in conference with counsel from AIM, counsel at the Secretary of State's office, trying to figure out the best way to do it. And I think this ordinance encompasses the proper way to expand, which is a vote to approve the ordinance, which creates the additional at-large position, which will then be filled by the council for the immediate time being. We will select a person to fill that until the next general election. The ordinance actually takes effect in January, but you can fill that position as soon as it has been formally read through in its second reading. with the mayor breaking any ties that the council may have in terms of selection of the individuals to fill the at-large positions. So that's what the ordinance is doing, is creating the new at-large positions. It is based on the size of the city, and under our most recent census calculation. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
So do we have to have those 2 additional at-large in place prior to the next election, or can it be put off till the next normal election for council?
It is intended, or at least my interpretation of it, and I believe is accurate, is that it needs to be filled, that the positions need to be filled, and then at the next general election, they will be open for anyone who wishes to campaign or otherwise, seek them.
So the people that would be put in place would actually be in place for almost a full year?
I believe so, yes.
Can we delay the effectiveness?
I have not found anything to delay it that would allow you to do. I will give you the most lawyer answer I can come up with, which is I can't find anything that says you can't do it, and I can't find anything that says you can't. Or you can't do it or you can't. So I think you do it, and if somebody yells at us, we'll figure it out. But, I mean, it's just not a very good, it's not a well-written statutory scheme at the state level. So I don't know if you can defer it if you want to. I can do additional research to find out, but all of the people that I have asked thus far, who are people that I believe should know the answer, don't. They seem to. My interpretation is you need to fill it as soon as you pass it on second reading.
Have you researched any other communities that have been facing the same circumstance?
I have not found one yet.
What happens if the positions remain vacant?
I don't know that anything happens if the positions remain vacant. I don't believe there is there's certainly not a penalty that I've ascertained if they remain vacant. I just know that we have to create the 2 positions within the year following the census.
The rest, I think, go ahead and get the ball rolling, but I don't know about putting them on until the election.
Well, I would say the way the ordinance is currently written, the ordinance doesn't even take effect until January.
But
So,
the election's not until.
but the election's not until November. So, what I would suggest in that regard is we could pass this on, if you're so inclined, you can pass it on first reading tonight, and then I could take a look at the language to see if I can add language that would allow it to remain unfilled until the next general election.
But I would be more comfortable.
I would too.
I agree.
Or you can table it. I just need to take some action on it tonight, and it'll have to have 2 readings prior to the end of the year.
Does it not make sense prior to the 1 year out of the election day? Because we have to certify our districts.
That may be the case.
Hence why I think it's on tonight's agenda.
Yeah.
When was the last census taken?
It was in 2020, but the results were very delayed. The collection was delayed and the results were delayed because of COVID.
You may be right, Mayor, that we may need to pass it at least on first reading, and then I can edit it before the second.
I think it makes sense to do that.
Yeah, that way we can look and see what's out there.
We don't have any language to do amendments with because we don't know what that is. But it's the council's intent to see additional language in reading number 2 that would allow for the delay of implementation or a better understanding of what would happen if nobody was appointed. Is that fair? With that, is there a motion to pass 2022-26 on first reading?
So moved as pointed out by Mayor.
Yeah.
Correction.
Second.
Motion's been made by Kevin, second by Vieta. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Council, anything else to come before you this evening? If not, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made by Darrell, quick, and by second by Rick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, everyone.